Korangal Valley didn't whisper warnings. It waited. A narrow trail wound through the jagged Afghan mountains, like a thread stitched in darkness. Corporal Salvatore Giunta, just 22 years old, marched third in line. Moonlight kissed the tops of pine trees, but down where the squad walked, it was pitch black. They were on their way back from a recon patrol. It was supposed to be routine. Sal felt the familiar weight of his gear, the sweat beneath his helmet, the dry clench of his jaw. His hands gripped the rifle like it was part of his body. Each boot step crunched the dust and loose shale. But something was wrong. Too quiet. Even the wind held its breath. He looked up, and that's when the night shattered. Gunfire, sharp, relentless, all at once, like the mountain had erupted in rage. No warning, no direction. Just flashing light and ripping thunder. "Contact left!" someone shouted. Bullets whizzed inches from their heads. Tracer rounds danced like red lightning. The world tilted sideways. Sal dove left, instincts louder than thought. He returned fire, crawling through gravel, scanning for silhouettes. Behind him, voices shouted, then screamed. "Gallardo's hit! Where's Brennan? We're flanked!" Then a sound pierced through everything. Not gunfire, not orders. A scream, deep, raw, human. And then, silence, again. The gunfire had slowed, but the fear hadn't. Smoke clung to the valley air like ghosts refusing to leave. Sal's ears rang, part gunfire, part panic. Dirt stuck to the sweat on his face. His hands were trembling now, but not from exhaustion, from what he had just seen. He crouched low behind a rock outcrop with Sergeant Gallardo, who was breathing in shallow gasps. The field medic was still a few meters behind, pinned by machine gun fire. No one could move, not yet. Sal turned to Gallardo. "Where's Brennan?" Gallardo coughed, blood in his teeth. "They took him." Sal froze. Not killed, taken. In that second, everything changed. He lifted his head just enough to see over the ridge. There, in the shadows of the tree line, two silhouettes dragged a limp body through the underbrush. It was Brennan. His flak jacket hung loose, one boot missing, still moving, still alive, but barely. Sal's breath caught. Every nerve in his body screamed, "Go!" but his legs refused. His heart raced, legs rooted to the dirt. He looked around. No orders, no backup. Everyone else was still locked down under suppressing fire. No one had even noticed Brennan was gone, but Sal did. He remembered what Brennan once told him on a night just like this. "You fight for the guy next to you, not the flag, not the politics, the guy next to you." Sal's jaw clenched. He knew what he had to do. 10 seconds. That's all it would take to cross the kill zone. He looked down at his rifle, then at Brennan's body being dragged farther into the trees. "Not today," he whispered. And then he broke cover. The moment blurred. Half smoke, half instinct. Sal's boots pounded against the dirt as he broke through the tree line. Every step was a gamble. Every breath a prayer. In the dim glow of gunfire, he saw them. Two Taliban fighters dragging something heavy. Someone. Brennan. Still alive. His body limp, one arm bent at an unnatural angle. His face barely visible beneath the blood and dirt. Sal's pulse roared. He didn't shout, didn't warn. He raised his M4 and fired. 2 shots. One enemy dropped. The other vanished into the shadows, leaving Brennan in the dust. Sal hit the ground beside his sergeant. Brennan's chest moved, faintly. "Brennan," he whispered. A flicker in the man's eyes, a gurgled breath. "I've got you," Sal said, voice trembling. He reached under Brennan's arms, lifted with everything he had. His legs screamed, his back burned, but he moved. Behind him, gunfire erupted again. His squad was still under fire. He couldn't wait. He carried Brennan across open terrain, exposed, hunted. Bullets kicked up the dust at his heels. Every step was earned with pain. He tripped, rolled, cursed. But he got up. Again and again. Until, finally, a medic's shout cut through the noise. "Over here!" Sal dropped to his knees, lowering Brennan gently onto a stretcher. The medics moved fast. Sal watched, panting, hands shaking. He had brought him back, alive, for now. And for Sal, that was enough. The night didn't end with gunfire. It ended with silence. Ash clung to the rocks. The trees stood wounded, blackened and broken. Sal sat near the medevac zone, boots caked in mud, his arms streaked with blood, some his, most not. Brennan lay under a thermal blanket. Medics worked without a word, faces stiff, eyes low. Sal knew. He had felt it the moment Brennan slipped in his arms. The breath that never came back. His hands shook, not from fear, but from failure. He didn't cry, didn't speak, just watched. The rest of the squad limped in hours later, scratched, burned, hollow-eyed, some alive, some not. But all of them carried something invisible. Later, under the dull hum of helicopter blades, a medic sat beside him. "You ran straight into hell," he said. Sal didn't answer. He looked at his boots. "They say you saved lives tonight." He looked up, tired, older. "I couldn't save them all." That's what stayed with him. Not the medal, not the praise, but the names he couldn't bring back. 1 year later, Salvatore Giunta stood in the East Room of the White House. He wore his dress blues, pressed, clean. But his eyes, they still carried the weight of Korengal. The president placed the Medal of Honor around his neck. Cameras flashed. The room applauded, but Sal didn't smile. He looked down, then out, searching. Because he knew this moment wasn't just his. It belonged to Brennan, to Gallardo, to all of them, to the ones who didn't come home. Later, in a quiet interview, someone asked, "What went through your mind when you ran into that gunfire?" Sal paused. "I thought, if it were me, they'd come for me too." That's all it was. Not a mission, not a medal. Just a Marine, unwilling to let a brother die alone.